Is this Summer Rain?
Summer, hey guys. Ask me the hard question because I'm sure there's people in here going, what's the real story, Summer?
All right, Summer, what's up with this refund situation?
You're just going to come right out with it, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You know that people have addictions in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And people who drink and people who smoke, people who do porn, and people who do other things.
Mm-hmm.
So my addiction was, and please don't judge me, my addiction was going to 80s channel.
Oh my God. Hold on, Summer Rain. Let me applaud you first. Because you are the first person I have ever saw and acknowledged, like, okay, my addiction is this. And that's why I'm captivated in this. Thank you for saying that. That means something. You know, I ain't being funny at all. Like, you actually said this. People don't know that being on YouTube and watching folks is an addiction.
It is, and it was where I was waking up. I was sleeping with the iPad in the bed. 2 o'clock in the morning, he was coming on, so I made sure that I stayed there with it, and I made sure that I was always listening to what he was saying. I couldn't help it. 2-3 times a day, I was carrying my iPad with me, and every little thing that he was saying, I was throwing money at him, $14.99, $14.99, $14.99, and there's been days that I've thrown $150 out with him. I'm scared because there is some people in here that are AD supporters, and so I'm sure they're gonna talk.
Hold on, well let me give
this. And everybody knows my story.
Let me give a quick disclaimer for you. Let me give a quick disclaimer for you, real quick. If anybody do disagree with anything she's saying, to the point that you want to start something in the live chat, call up here when she done and you speak your side. So it'll eliminate misunderstanding messages. You know what I'm saying? Carry on, please, Miss Summer Rain.
Okay, so it got to the point to where I raised my patron. I was a level $10, and then I went to $20, and then I went up to $50. And so I'm scared, guys, because I don't want to cry. This has been very emotional for me, and a lot has gone through this with me. But the $50, I got into there, and I started exploring. I started seeing some of Team Phoenix's stuff. And I thought, wait a minute, this is interesting. So I couldn't help it. I wanted to dig more into other people's things. And I wanted to dig into what people were saying. And I couldn't believe what they were saying because I used to call them trolls. And I've apologized to all of them that I called names to because that's not me. I was telling people that they needed to get a life, and I was just saying horrible things. And I don't do that. I don't bother anybody. I'm a really nice girl, and I was taken advantage of. I feel like that. Bam and them have been helping me. I honestly feel now that I was a little bit brainwashed. Maybe. Please don't judge me.
Oh, I'm not.
But I was going to sleep listening to this man's voice, and I was waking up listening to this man's voice. And I was listening and believing every damn thing he said, and then one time he got in the channel, and he started talking about this stupid-ass black spot on the truck. And I said, no, I don't see it, Alan, I don't see it. And we got into an argument in the chat room. And Maureen blocked me, or she deleted my comment. And I said, what the hell? I couldn't believe that they did this to me. Because I was known as the big supporter. People could not believe. I've gotten really bad backlash by leaving his channel. You would not believe. I said, well, I don't believe you, Alan, so I sent this picture over, and he looked at it in the little chat, and he even said, oh, Sommer sent me a picture. He goes, oh, and he dropped the phone. He goes, I don't have time to look at it. I'll look at it later. And so I started getting ballsy, and I wanted to say something. And every time was thinking, well, I'm going to say it one time and see if I get away with it. I said to him a couple times, I want to hold a board meeting. I'm a board patron. I had every right to ask for a board meeting. Every right. I have given this man thousands of dollars. And we're talking Australian dollars is a higher amount versus UK dollars. So if you convert it, I'm not even going to tell you guys. I'm just going to tell you it's in the thousands, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was spending $200 to $250, sometimes more a week. There's been times that I have donated additional money to buy the computer that he was asking for. I sent extra money for him to, he was supposed to buy a whiteboard for the wall so he could map out things and draw out things. I've sent all that. So I had to confess to my husband that I had done this and that I needed to talk to him because it was at a point to where I'd asked for the board meeting and he was going to start asking, why are you not talking to Alan? So we went on Skype with Alan. My husband and I went on Skype and Alan was begging for me to talk to him. And I said, not now. So then I pulled my patron away. And that's when he called me. And he sent me an email first and said, what's this all about, Sommer? So then he called me on Skype. And we spoke with him. And I said to him, Alan, I said, you've hurt me. You've hurt me more than what you know. And I believed in you. And I've sent you so much money. And the things that you have said are just wrong. And he said to me, Sommer, he says, just come back and stay silent in the room, change your name. Just change your name. And he said, and if you want to pay, when you want to pay me, just send it through PayPal or Patreon. And I said to him, are you listening to me, Alan? I'm not doing this. I said, I can't do it. And my husband said to him, Alan, you need to stop. You need to leave it alone. And he said that there's been enough damage. Alan left the conversation after about 20 minutes of talking back and forth. He said that he was wanting me to change my name and to come back. And he made me cry. He made me cry looking at him because I had that obsession feel that I needed to see him or talk to him. And I didn't want to let him go because I was scared to let that addiction go.
Yes.
So I immediately had to go over to Team Phoenix videos and Martin's videos. I immediately had to run to that because I had to convince myself again not to be weak, but to listen to the real side of who he is and what he's about. So then that night he calls me. I was in bed asleep at 12:21. So help me to God. He called me while I was in bed asleep, and it appeared to me, his hair was all scruffy. He was laying in the bed, and he called me, and he appeared to be half drunk. And I said to him, what do you want? And I said, it's 12:21 in the morning, Alan. I'm in bed asleep. And he said, I just want you to come back. And it was tearing at me. I said, I'm going to bed, Alan. Why are you calling me at 12:21? So I haven't spoke to him since. I have him blocked on Skype. So I've applied for the money to come back. Here's the bad news, which I have not told, so I'll announce it now. I will not be getting my money back, and I'll tell you why. I got an email this week with Dan helped me with PayPal, and I did all the case notes, and I reported all the money. And I got a reference number, and they just now got back to me, and they said yesterday that I will not be getting my money back, because in my little comments that I was sending to him, I was saying, love you, AB, you're doing a great job, this is for you. And I was putting comments of what they were and what those items were supposed to be for. And because I had so many consistent PayPal said that it does not appear to be scam or fraud, that I was consistently doing it. So I have lost money, and I won't get it back, but I will at some point. I will continue. If I have to have 15 different accounts, I will have my say at some point when I get strong enough that I can go into that town and then I can have my say. Now, it's only 200 letters because they're going to ban me as soon as I go in there. But I'll have enough counts backed up that I'll get everything out there that I want to say. And just to tell him how I feel, because he is actually doing this to other women. And it's the women that he's targeting on. It's the women, because he says to us, all you women, and he knows what I look like. I've sent him photos, and he's seen me on Skype, so he's preying on these women. He talks about it all the time. He's full of crap, guys. Whoever's here that's supporting him, he's full of crap. And eventually, his biggest supporter, I hope that you guys wake up if you're here and you hear my voice. I hope that you listen. This is true, and this is very real, and it's still very raw, and it still hurts. And I'm trying to heal from it. It is like a drug, and I'm trying to heal from it. And so this is my first time speaking out.
I'm glad you did, Sommer. And this the first step to getting past it is talking about it like you're doing. You just do that a little more often. Talk about it even if it's to me off of live. You can call me on WhatsApp now. Talk about this and help get it off your chest. And that'll help you move past it. You've already did the big part, which was breaking off from it. So you did the hardest part already.
I know a lot of people have their opinions, and I've caught you. I almost left the internet because a lot of people were really giving me a hard time because they were saying to me, you're the one that did this. You're the one that hit that button. He didn't make you do it. He didn't make you send that. And so I know this. I know that he didn't make me. But when somebody starts working on your brain and starts working on your mind and puts those triggers in there to you, it was a drug. It was an addiction. And I've had to break away from it. And so it honestly, it's been tough. And I've had to deal with a lot of haters myself. I'm still dealing with it. They loved me while I was there and sucked me all a piece of shit. And I don't get it. I don't get it because I don't bother for anybody. This is between him and I. And now he's made it personal, where he's got his little drones attacking me. For what? I didn't pay them. I didn't give them money. Why are they attacking me? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm sorry I've taken up the cat, guys. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no, you fine. You fine. You get this off your chest.
Hi, Outback.
He's there, is he? Is he ready to go?
He is.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so we're going to try and call Australia.
How you going?
How's it going? Hi, Outback.
Hi, Outback.
Yeah. How you going?
Yeah, very good.
I don't have a bookcase in the background. Yeah, I do. Up in the background.
Okay, so obviously, I think probably most people here know Sommer's story. For anyone who didn't, just to summarise, she was one of AD's biggest supporters. She actually was supporting him up to a director level, and she then kind of challenged AD on, I think it was when he made his video about the truck window being blacked out. You know, he was saying that the mainstream media had put a black block across the truck window, which of course we debunked. We proved that wasn't right. You know, that the truck had black windows. It was night time. You know, it was complete rubbish. And I think Sommer challenged him on that, and she was kind of almost bullied off the channel from there. Outback, if you just want to pick it up and just sort of, you know, from your point of view, sort of where it started and how it went down, really.
Yeah, no worries. Look, she was really passionate about AD's channel, you know, and I remembered her talking about this truck thing and the shadow and all that sort of stuff, and it really, I had no interest in it whatsoever. And she was showing me on the screen the house and the house next door and the cars and all that sort of stuff, and so she was very excited about working this out, and then, you know, having conversations with people in the channel, and I guess debating. Was actually a person that came out of the house, or if they dragged any bodies out, or if there was a bush in the way, or if there was a car or whatever. To be honest, I couldn't care less. The guy had been arrested, he'd been charged, he'd been convicted, and he was sitting in jail. So as far as I was concerned, that was the end of it. And I couldn't understand what the whole idea was behind trying to bring this up even more. Yeah, so he sits in an armchair. He's not a detective. He's not a cop. I don't think he's got any credentials to speak about in regards to any criminal kind of. And I just do not understand why people want to pay a wannabe detective money to talk about cases that have already been cracked, that people have already been to jail for. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. So I was never really interested in the AD channel. Wasn't really interested in what Sommer had to say about AD or anything like that, but I could see that she was excited by it. So, you know, I was happy for her to be happy about something that she was involved in.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot said about Sommer. You know, nasty things saying that she, you know, she's had mental problems. You know, she was obsessed.
I was not. I wasn't impressed with AD. I wasn't impressed with his channel. I wasn't impressed with the people that were in it. And you know, many times Sommer would you know, sit me down, and I'd have to sit there and feign that I was interested. And my history is that I worked in the Department of Justice for nearly 12 years. I'd worked with prisoners. I worked with people who were on probation and parole. I also spent a lot of time working with sex offenders and pedophiles. So I read a lot of crises and antecedents from the police and from courts and all that sort of stuff. So I've seen enough and heard enough of crime and heinous crimes that people have perpetrated. So watching something on YouTube about somebody killing his kids, I've seen that sort of stuff before, seen some pretty gross stuff, you know, the bottom of the world kind of gear. So I had enough of that. So I didn't need to be involved in that sort of stuff. But I supported Sommer in her feeling that she was part of something bigger. People that were involved in, you know, debating these kinds of things, that was okay. I didn't have an issue with that. But I did take issue with the fact that these people on YouTube are making money out of people that have died and people who are sitting in prison. And regardless of whether you've committed a crime or not, I certainly don't think it's right for people to be making money off, you know, talking about the victims. No, she wasn't in love with him. I think she just really loved or enjoyed being in that space. I feel as though she was getting something out of this. She was part of something much bigger. She was just the same as everybody else out there that was on AD's channel. They were all putting in their bits, but she just believed in this fella more than what other guys did. And you know, I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, in the absence of knowing anything better, you know, it'd be quite easy to be sucked into it. that's the reason why I wasn't sucked into it, because the guy made no sense to me. You know, although I supported her in what she wanted to do, I wasn't really interested in talking about that stuff. So I don't think. Well, I know that she wasn't in love with him. She enjoyed the channel. She enjoyed being on the channel, just the same as she enjoys being on TP's channel. But she was throwing money at it. And again, I don't see that's a problem. It didn't really bother me that she was supporting something that she believed in. I think that's quite honourable. Okay, true, I didn't know how much she was spending, but again, I trust my wife. I don't need to sit there and say, well, how much are you spending on this bloke? So I didn't have an issue. So when she told me that she had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on supporting AD.
I heard AD himself say that it wasn't thousands of pounds. He tried to imply that it wasn't a lot of money, when clearly it sounds like it was. I think he's tried to play that down. He's also said, or a lot of people were trying to imply that, you know, you were very angry with Sommer and you didn't agree with what she was doing, you know, trying to obviously put more blame on her. So, you know, I think you've kind of dispelled that as well.
Yeah, that was rubbish. That's just absolute rubbish. You know, I never raised my voice with Sommer. I just said to her, well, you'll learn your lesson. You won't do that again, will you? You know, there was no need for me to be angry about it.
I was listening back to Sommer's interview with Blogger with a Job earlier, and she was saying that she started out at the $10 level patron, she went up to the $20 and eventually the $50, I think it was, which was a director level, which obviously at that level you should be entitled to, you know, hold a proper board meeting if you feel that something's not right with the channel. You know, you're a fundamental part of the channel at that point. That's what he states on his patron. But, you know, she challenged him. She was basically cut off by his moderators. She was timed out, blocked off the channel, and then almost hounded and bullied away. And, you know, in a way, I mean, victimized and bullied. You know, they go on about bullying and stuff, them being bullied, but in a way, they were doing the same thing to her. That's what it sounded like.
You have Patreons, and on each tier level, most creators do give something back, don't they? And the higher the level goes, the bigger the reward, if you like. And if Sommer was entitled to a board meeting, which she was, then the board meeting she should have had.
I just wanted to touch on the Skype call that we did to AD. He didn't know that I was in the background, and he started talking to Sommer. Sommer was very upset. She was asking for the board meeting. She was talking about being trolled. She was talking about being treated disrespectfully in the room by the moderators. You know, she was actually crying, and she was saying, you know, I've supported you, and all I've asked for is just a conversation with the people that are in the team to talk about how you're doing things. She didn't believe that what he was doing was correct. Some of the things that he was saying were not right, and she wanted to correct him. She just wanted to have her say. And in any relationship, you know, you should be able to have a two-way conversation and be able to say how you feel. But every time she opened her mouth, she just seemed to be shut down. So it was just a very abusive one-way relationship. He just was not prepared. So I came in field of the frame. So he saw the corner of my face. And I said, how you going, AD? I told him that she was his biggest supporter. I told him that she would go to sleep sometimes listening to his program. And I told him that I had no understanding why she would want to listen to his droning voice. I said, but you've obviously got something that Sommer likes and the rest of the people. And I also told him that I wasn't interested. But I did say to him that I wasn't impressed with the way that Sommer was being treated. And that he needed to do something about it. And he basically threw it back at me and said, well, what can you do about it? And said, you know, you need to do something about the trolls. And I said, well, hang on a second, it's not my channel. He then said, well, Sommer needs to change the name and then she can come back in and then she can pay me more money. I just think that he's just a weakling. He wasn't prepared to deal with the trolls. He wasn't prepared to deal with his hammers, his spanners, or whatever they are. He wasn't prepared to have those conversations and deal with the conflict on the channel, to go on channel and talk about my wife having a mental illness. I mean, so I understand what mental illness is, and Sommer is far from mentally ill. However, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I can put money on it that AD suffers from some kind of mental disturbance because of the way he treats people on his channel. His own supporters, he treats them just like absolute garbage. And the way he treated Sommer was absolutely disgusting. The fact that he rang her in the middle of the night, we had a conversation and he said he had to go somewhere and he would come back to her and he would tell her that he had spoken to the Spanish and that they will call a ball meeting, and he would call her back at about 10 o'clock that night. I'd gone to sleep by that time, and he rings her up at 12:30 in the morning. I described he was dishevelled, and I believe he was in bed when he called her, or he was lying down or something. I mean, that's disgusting. Disgusting to be doing that sort of thing when you've just met the husband on Skype. So I've got no time for this guy whatsoever. Absolutely none.
Actually watched the video that Sommer was talking about, where she kind of confronted him about the blacked out windows, and he just came across so arrogant and so condescending that if anyone didn't believe him, they were stupid, and they were there because they were obviously Chris Watts fans or trolls or whatever. He just refuses to accept that people can challenge him, and refuses to accept that he's wrong sometimes, and it just comes across in a really, really bad way.
The insider, when he was talking about the insider and he was saying the governor of the prison, I remember saying to Sommer, I said, this guy doesn't even have a clue what he's talking about, because it's not even called a governor in the US. They're called wardens. So automatically I could tell that he wasn't telling the truth, and I didn't have to do any investigation on it. It's like if you had a conversation with an insider that was sitting in the prison, they would have told you need to make sure you got your facts straight. And I'm pretty sure that you guys have said the same thing so many times, that get your facts straight. It's clear to me from somebody who's not even sitting in AD's channel that this guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's not a detective. He's not a policeman. He's had no experience working within the criminal justice system. He sits in an armchair with a library behind him, and he gets all this information from other people that tell him what to do or tell him what to say. I mean, how is that? How is that something that you would want to support? That's not original content. That's somebody that's trying to make money out of somebody else's misery. And, I just don't subscribe to that kind of behaviour. I just think it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
The seriousness of what he's talking about and the crimes that he's covering, you can't have any room for error. You can't make it into a kind of show, which is what he tries to do. And the whole facade that he's tried to hide behind of, he's obviously said now it's a joke and all that about, Tammy Leaf and the FBI being on there, and the warden, what he said, the governor of the prison, and him being in the MI5. He was quite serious about that. He was kind of trying to deceive people, I think, and that's what annoys a lot of people.
Put yourself in their shoes. Put yourself in the victim's shoes. Put yourself in Sommer's shoes. Sommer's been absolutely treated like a piece of crap, really. Sommer made a choice to believe AD. Sommer made a choice to give him money. Sommer also made a choice to move away from him because she felt that he wasn't doing the right thing. And that is an amazing thing for somebody to be able to say, you know what, I screwed up, but I'm going to fix it and I'm going to move away. And I'm not going to put my mental health in check or in question here. I think there's got to be some reality checks of people that do stuff on the internet and use people to make their content. You know, the victims don't need to have this pushed in their face every single time. I've worked with victims, and they don't need to be reminded of the fact that their kids or their parents or whoever has been murdered, has been molested or whatever. They don't need to be reminded of that, because they remind themselves every single day of their life. And yet you've got channels that continue to talk about this stuff and throw it in people's faces, and they're untrue in the statements that they make. So the family is in a position where they feel as though they're not being listened to. And Sommer is in exactly the same space. Dare I say, she was being abused within the channel that she was working within. And I just don't subscribe to that kind of behaviour. I think behaviour is reprehensible. It's just disgusting, and absolutely disgusting. I can't stand the bloke. I can't stand any of the channels that talk about Chris Watts on a regular basis. I can't stand channels that keep on bringing up all this stuff about people that have died and have been murdered and all that sort of stuff, because it's time to move on. You know, unless you can really crack a case, which I doubt, why talk about it?
There are channels that do cover these cases, but they'll just do a video if there is something significant to say. It's always disturbing and always upsets people.
It is disturbing, and if people are saying it's disturbing, why isn't he listening to that? You know, people are disturbed by this sort of stuff.
Just one important point as well, which you touched on there, which just sums up how she was treated. So you're saying that she was actually, because she was getting trolled, she was told to change her name, come back, and sit silently in the chat. Is that right?
Correct, but he still wanted her money. He didn't even say, "Look, I'm sorry that you're being trolled." He did say that he would have a conversation with his hammers and he would do something about it. But then he basically said that there wasn't anything he could really do about it. She needed to change his name. He basically said that all in one sentence.
I mean, it's his channel. They're his spanners. He can do whatever he needs to do to control his channel. You know, even if he takes a spanner away from somebody, if they're being disrespectful to somebody, you just remove their wrench.
So there's a responsibility that you have as content creators to ensure that you are reporting on facts that are correct, on stories that are not about yourself but are about other people. Then you need to make sure your facts are correct, because otherwise you're casting aspersions, you're gossiping, and you know, I struggle to understand how you can be responsible and yet have a channel like this and create content like this. And I struggle to understand how YouTube or any other social media platform allows this kind of stuff to continue on. Yes, okay, you make some money out of having your subscribers and the content that you create, but I've seen a lot of people get kicked off their channels because of swear words that have been said on their channel, and yet this guy talks about stuff that is untrue and is just morally reprehensible. It's just absolutely disgusting, and I just don't understand how it just continues. You know, and there are channels, like you said, TV that, you know, that talk about cases and they just talk about it and then they move on. I don't see them as making money out of it. They're just providing some kind of information, or it might be a different way of looking at something. And that sparks, you know, people to think about, you know, what's been going on. And if you're into that sort of thing, then that's great. But when you're starting to treat even the victims of the people that have lost loved ones like second-rate citizens, like they have no say, that your voice is the only voice that everybody else should be listening to, the guy absolutely drives me up the wall listening to that droning UK British voice.
Kind of hit a new low in the eyes of, certainly in the eyes of our channel and our subscribers, where he has a psychic apparently on him, or on his channel, that telling him that Rzucek has actually chosen AD to be the person that she wants to speak to provide this information and clues to solve the whole case. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous and so disrespectful. It's really upset a lot of people on our channel.
I heard him say that he's had a vision. He had a vision and he had a dream of a few things, and I thought, this guy just cannot stop. Somebody needs to put some 100-mile tape on his mouth and just get him shut up.
You know what that was, though, Outback? What had happened was he had said something incredibly disrespectful about Bella, one of the little babies, and her injuries, and everybody was up in arms about it because it was absolutely incorrect. So a few weeks later, he suddenly comes out with this, oh, yes, well, actually, that information that I had about Bella, that came to me in a vision. It came to me in my mind. It wasn't a true fact that I'd, read somewhere. I hadn't read it in the autopsy or anything. It just came to me in a vision. So that was his way of getting out of what he said about beautiful baby Bella, which only enraged us even further, to be honest.
Well, you know how you can throw a mice or a rat into a cage and it can find its way to the other side?
Yep.
He does this. Thing, if what he says. He's just going all over the place trying to find a place or an avenue of where people are going to listen to what he has to say. I've seen him. He reads the chat and he'll only talk to the people that actually believe what he says. And then I've seen how he'll actually test that, and he will say something that's just outrageous, and you'll see how many people will believe him in the outrageous statement that he makes. And then that kind of just creates this persona for him where he's like a god and he's got all these minions just hanging around him, and it's just absolutely sickening seeing that sort of stuff. Talking about the victims, and it's not a Hollywood movie, and I don't know what people get out of it. I don't know how they can get a kick out of listening to some moron talking about how victims have been murdered. I just cannot understand it. I just don't understand it, guys. I don't.
I just don't believe how many people, when he does come out with these ridiculous theories, I can't believe how many people actually do agree with him. To me, it's just so ridiculous, all these theories that he's coming up with. And then I'm astounded when I see everybody in chat saying, oh, yes, AD, yes, you're right.
The thing is, the cases have been through the court system. They've been, completely gone through. There's a prosecutor, there's a defence lawyer, there's a jury, there's a judge. There's lots of people that have had their bits and pieces put into the case. And, there might be a small percentage of cases out there where innocent people have been in prison. But when somebody admits it and they say that they are the ones who did it, and the evidence clearly states that they did it, how the hell can you crack a case after the fact? Just makes no sense.
Yeah, as you said, he's pleaded guilty, he's been convicted, he's been sentenced, he's sitting in jail. As far as I'm concerned, end of, and leave the Rzucek family alone to grieve and heal. They need to heal from this. It's going to take forever to do. I don't know if it's even possible.
Word. And the other thing I wanted to say is bring it on, trolls. I love it when people want to have a go. I love it when people want to have a go at me. I actually thrive in that kind of environment. I didn't work in the Department of Justice because I was a softie. So yeah, bring it on. If you've got something to say to me, then by all means say it. I've got no issue with that. Yeah, I'm quite happy for trolls to give a go at me. So move it away from Sommer and put it on to me, and I'm quite happy to take it on. The other thing I wanted to say was that I'm really, really impressed with the support that Sommer has been given by all the people from Team Phoenix and all those people that support Team Phoenix. Sommer has been through quite a lot. It's been quite emotional for her. And it's just been really fantastic. And so thank you to everybody out there that is supportive and is genuine, and people that do care about others. And the trolls clearly don't have any moral fibre in their bodies to be saying some of the things that they say. So they're wasting their time, and they're wasting everybody else's time, so they might as well just keep their mouths shut.
Just to say, you've got plenty of hearts, plenty of support, from everyone, from all the chat.
Yeah, Jesse Back says, Outback, you are a great husband, and Sommer Rains, you are blessed with him. I hope you can close it more now, and we still love you both. How is Sommer doing now, Outback? How is she doing?
She's doing okay. She's, I think she's really happy that I'm supporting her in this. I did say to Sommer that she needed to get off the channel, and I told her a number of times before this all blew up, because I could see that it was, a little bit unhealthy. But I still wanted to support her. She is an adult. She is able to make decisions for herself. When she made the decision to move off, I was very proud of her to make that decision. She's feeling much better now that she's taken that step, and she's being very careful about where she spends her time online. Sommer made the decision to come off. I had actually asked her to come off the channel a number of times, but I don't run a household like a dictator, and she made the decision herself. So I was very proud of her when she made that decision to leave AD's channel. That takes a lot of strength of character to be able to stand up for what you believe in, and to be able to have that open conversation with somebody that you support. And like I said earlier, it's the same in any relationship. She and all the other people have got a relationship, whatever that relationship is, with AD, but he does not respect the people that he has a relationship with.
It's a warning, really, to anyone who's been sucked into that channel. I think, if you're happily, donating, that's your prerogative, or if you're a patron. But certainly, if things don't work out, don't expect any kind of support.
Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but on AD's channel, you don't have one.
Search. I asked him once in chat whether he actually had read the discovery of the Chris Watts case, because I thought, certainly if I was covering the case, and certainly to the degree that he's been covering the case, the first thing I would have done would be to read all the discovery. So I asked him whether he'd read it, and he said, no, I haven't. Have you? Just in that tone. That to me sort of said it all, really. He hasn't done any research. So no, he can't back up his arguments because he doesn't know what to say.
And it's interesting that there's so many women that listen to this guy.
Have you ever been to the UK, Outback?
No, I've never been to the old country.
Oh,
but I have
okay.
friends from the old country, and they tell me that it's a lovely place, full of rain, clouds, and no sun.
Well, I hope you've managed to, I hope you feel like you've sort of managed to get your story across Outback.
I really appreciate the time. Thanks, guys. No worries. Thank you.
Thanks very much.